Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This will be a review on the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Boba Fett from Mandalorian Season 2. I got this guy for a really fair price on eBay from a chap in the UK, so I didn't have to worry about any customs charges or anything like that. I believe the story was he got this one originally and then he decided he wanted the double pack, so he never even had this one on display. Just opened the box to check if everything was okay and then he just sold it. And I guess I was just in the right place at the right time, because it was a really fair price for a brand new Boba Fett figure. Kind of never really seen one going for such a fair price before, so I had to get it. And also a big factor in me deciding to get this version was, as amazing as Boba Fett has always looked, I think most of us can agree this version here is his most badass scene ever. In any film or any series, I can't think of a Boba Fett moment that is more badass than when he gets his armor back in Mandalorian Season 2. I think the episode was called The Tragedy or something like that. When he gets his armor back, man, you could feel it. You could feel that kind of, he was complete again. And all that rage just came out. Took it all out on those troopers. It was just so cool. The music, just the way it was shot, the setting as well. Just that bright daylight, just really awesome stuff. So this is the version of Boba Fett I wanted in the collection. The repaint version from the Book of Boba Fett does look really cool, but it has to factor in with the source material as well. And I just, other than the Mandalorian episodes in Boba Fett, I wasn't that big a fan of the series. It was okay, I got through it, I enjoyed watching it, but it wasn't a patch on Mandalorian. But his appearance in the Mandalorian Season 2 was just absolutely incredible and so badass. So I had to get this version. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at DKnight333, and I hope you enjoy this review, folks. Let's get started. Taking a nice good look here at the Fett. Now I don't have that many heavily battle damaged figures in my collection. Robocop comes to mind by Hot Toys, but my one is the clean one, but it does have some interchangeable parts to make it into a battle damage version of Robocop. But then they released another version of Murphy with the more human Murphy head sculpt and some seriously awesome battle damage, but I never did get that one. I can't really think of another figure in my collection that's heavily beaten and worn. I mean, obviously I do weathering on figures to make them look a bit more gritty, but this is like seriously battle damaged. The work Hot Toys have done on his armor has got to be some of the most impressive weathering they've ever done on anything. So it's nice to have something this beaten and worn and still retaining all that badass and the history to it as well. Because this is the armor from the original movies. All the Sarlacc pit stomach juices wearing away the paint. Just incredible. Now I will say, the one thing I do not like about it is the base. There's no nameplate. I've had to change the kind of bendable rod to just a regular kind of groin grabber that's actually an old Sideshow Freddy Krueger kind of stand that I've wedged into the connection point. Just used some elbow grease and just wedged it in there, because I just don't really like the bendy posable rods. Just not a big fan of them. But I don't like the base at all. There's not enough room. You have to have him with his foot up on something. You can't just have him standing there. And the lack of a nameplate, it's too small. I've seen quite a few reviews when I was waiting for this to arrive, and it seems to be pretty much across the board folks are not too happy about that base. So I went looking on eBay to see if I could find a different Boba Fett base, but they're all quite expensive. So maybe in the future I'll figure something out. But other than that, everything else is pretty damn amazing. Accessory wise, just breeze through this quickly. You don't get too much, but you get enough to do all the cool action poses. You get some whistling birds there for his knee armor projectiles. You get the, what do you call it, like a hologram that he proves to Mando that he is who he says he is. That kind of plugs into his gauntlet, I guess. You got the jetpack blaster effects, which is always nice to have those. And then for the rocket on his back, You can use that. I'll show you that later. And the flamethrower, blast of flame there, really vibrant and nice. That kind of plugs into the gauntlet. Very effective. And the hands are pretty cool, but you do get this awesome kind of cowboy western style spinning the gun on his finger, hand sculpt in the middle there, which I've never really had anything like that before, so I probably will display him like that. Makes him pretty unique. I don't think any of my 1/6 scale cowboy figures even came with a hand that allows you to do that. Alright, now we'll take a look at Boba Fett on the rotating base, taking a nice look at all the details as he comes around. We'll get much closer in a moment. But I keep getting slight Predator vibes from him, this particular version of Boba Fett, and I think it's because of the Predator Big Game cover, which I don't know if I'll be able to... Yeah, I can zoom in. Some of you might be familiar with... I know it's not the same, but I just... Something about that and this kind of... I don't know. It's just triggering that kind of memory of that image in the 90s growing up, loving that comic book. But it might be worth in the future teaming this guy up or against a Hot Toys Predator, and I'll show you that in a height comparison in a minute. We'll get some different characters out from Hot Toys and see how tall he is next to them. Can't stress how beautiful the damage is all over the armor. And on the tubes as well. Not the damage, but just how well they're done. I thought they'd be really flimsy and worry about them coming loose. I've had no trouble so far. I haven't really played with them much yet. We'll see how that goes. I'll always update you if anything comes to light. But I love the helmet. Look at that. It's incredible. Makes sense that the actual projectile, the rocket, would be clean, because that's a new one that he's, put in there ready to fire. And the detail on all the cartridges, I'm assuming they're plastic. I don't think anything's metal here, but I can always check that in a minute. The detail on the gauntlet, wow. Pleather materials used for the holster and the belt, I guess, so you got to watch out for that over the years. Depending on your climate, they can perish over time. That certainly happened with some of my old Hot Toys figures. Dark Knight Rises Catwoman, her outfit just crumbled away to nothing. Terminator Salvation, John Connor with a leather jacket. Beautiful figure, but damn it, that jacket did not last. And I'm in the UK, so it's not particularly hot or humid all the time. It's actually really cold in this room. I always keep the curtains completely closed and never really have the heating on in here unless it's freezing and I need to film something. But you just got to be careful and choose wisely. They're not cheap figures. I just put a little clip on Instagram with a really badass song by a band called the Melvins to this pose here, and it's so freaking cool. When I watched it back, I almost got myself pregnant, so watch out for that, folks. In the reviews I've seen, most times you'll hear folks mention about how they're not in love with the proportions because of how, let's say, stocky he is in the torso area, but the arms to some folks appear out of proportion, but honestly I'm fine with it. I don't really see a problem. I know that the arms are nice and easy to pose. There's not too much padding or layering going on there to stop you from being able to bend the elbows. I think it's got a double bend in the elbow as well, so you'll be able to get that blaster right up. In fact, let me just lean in. That's nice. Oh, that's tasty. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. But fantastic posability in the arms. I guess not much in the torso, we'll see about that, but legs are pretty decent as well. And you've got a good bit of movement in the ankles. He balances well on his own without a stand, but because of the targeting device, that's what I'm going to call it. I know that's probably wrong, folks, don't kill me, but because of that piece, you don't want that snapping if he does a swan dive off a shelf, or even if he just falls forward and you detolf and headbutts the glass. You don't want to risk that getting broken. Oh man, I just can't get over how cool he looks. Honestly. Top tier. Alright, now just take a look at the fire effect. It blasts out from the gauntlet. And it looks very impressive. I'll turn down the brightness and get more of a glow from the light hitting it. And it's not the easiest thing to attach. It's a little bit cumbersome, but the effect is nice. Now here is the Hot Toys Mandalorian Season 2 Boba Fett figure next to a Hot Toys Predator 2 City Hunter. Quite a big size difference there. And here he is next to my Season 2 Mando. And they're about the same height. The helmet is bigger on Boba Fett. And that's how they look together. And here he is next to the Hot Toys Classic Suit Spider-Man from the PS4 video game. They're about the same height. Now it's daytime, so I've opened up the curtains behind me, so we've still got the artificial light around it, but we've got natural light coming in from the front, just so we can appreciate the exquisite work, the paint job and the sculpting. Nice and close. Not much weathering on the boots, but a hell of a lot of weathering on this piece here, and the dent. Beautifully done. Absolutely love the weathering on the gauntlets. There's barely any paint left. Decent magnet on the holster. I mean, it just has to be some of Hot Toys' best weathering work. He looks really good in a simple pose like this. He's one of those great figures where you don't have to worry about damaging the suit or the arms, like silicone skin or any of that stuff, because he doesn't have that on this body. It's just a jointed plastic body with material clothing over the top. There's nothing on the arms that's gonna, tear or rip from bending the elbow over time. This is a figure that you can do what you want with. Leave him like that without fear of damage. The only thing we got to watch out for is these kind of pleather materials that kind of take the place of what should be leather really on a high-end figure. I love the weathering around the image of the mythosaur on the shoulder armor here. It looks really nice. Just incredible work. I mean, I guess they're all each hand painted individually, because they do take a while to come out sometimes from when they're first announced, and it's figures like this where you can kind of see why. It becomes evident that I don't know if there's any way a machine can do this. I mean, probably. I'm just old, but I mean, it's just such an amazing paint job on this. I'm curious. I'd love to have like two of the same figure just to see, does everything match up perfectly? Does every little spec match up, or are they all different? I'm curious about that, but either way, I do love seeing the mythosaur image surrounded by the history and the weathering. Now here's that awesome blasting effect with the missile on his back, the target system coming down over the eye. balancing well. Now I've got him spinning the gun on his finger. It's really cool that they included a hand sculpt that would allow you to do that. He did it in the scene in the show. So it makes sense that they included it. I'm glad they did. That pose looks great from the front as well, folks. I'm going to have to get to the final thoughts in a minute because I just want to let you know how I'm feeling. Give you that score out of 10. But this is badass. No doubt about it. Alright folks, I'm just settling on this pose for now and I'll give you my final thoughts and a score out of 10. I would give this guy, factoring in the frustrations with the base, it's not awful, but it's just not my preferred style, or there's just not enough space on the base. They kind of, like I said, they force you to put your foot up on the rock there. It does look very cool, but a bit more space would allow you to have the option. An interchangeable kind of stand if you don't want to use the clasp, that would have been nice. And the papery material that is just showing through there underneath the actual material, you can see it there kind of wobbling as it turns. That is very papery and very fragile, so be very careful with that. That stops him from getting a 10 out of 10. So I'd give him a 9, possibly a 9.5. Cannot stress enough how incredibly badass this piece is. I absolutely love it. And if you're only going to have, it's, you know, controversial, but if you've only got room for one Boba Fett, why not have something as exquisitely detailed as this from a scene that is going to hold up and stand the test of time as probably the most badass Boba Fett scene ever. It's incredibly well done. This is a must-have if you're a Boba Fett fan. I just cannot stress enough how incredible it looks. So a 9.5 from me. Absolutely awesome piece, and I'll bring you more videos in the future showing him with Mandalorian again and also some other characters. It'd be fun to see him. soon again on the channel, because the posability is fantastic. There's so many options. This looks amazing here. Like he's in the heat of battle, but he's communicating with people at the same time. Just an amazing piece of work. Absolutely love it. Got it for a great price. No regrets. Very pleasant experience getting hold of this one. I was very close to getting Bo-Katan, and then suddenly I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, if you're going to get another figure from Mandalorian, aren't you forgetting someone? And I just realised, hang on a minute, get Boba Fett, don't get Bo-Katan. I mean, she's awesome, and I'm sure after the next episode tomorrow, which is episode 3 of season 3 of Mandalorian, see what happens with that mythosaur. But yeah, I may hold out and see what Hot Toys do about a future Bo-Katan figure. Although the one that's currently out does look fantastic, but people keep telling me the posability isn't great. But it's still a really nice looking piece. But I think I could live without her. And I could probably live without Boba Fett as well, but now that he's here, it's absolutely incredible. So, it's been an absolute pleasure posing him and taking pictures and filming him. Loved every second of it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Have you got this one? I know a lot of people chose to go for the repaint version, but it's just based on the source material and this scene that this is from. I just don't think it can be beaten. And the history to the armor, it's all there. It tells a story of one of the most badass bounty hunters in the galaxy. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Take it easy. Bye bye.